Hi, and welcome to the best of Homes on Homes. Today we go to great heights to show you the best of the worst roofing jobs I've seen in almost 100 episodes of Homes on Homes. We all need a roof over our heads, and one that's built right keeps a house warm, dry, and animal-free. Seems simple, right? Wrong. Nothing's simple when you hire the wrong people for the job, and these next stories show us just how wrong a roofing job can go when someone fiddles on your roof. Nice. Awesome. Look at the nest. They got a nest of them. Yeah, baby. If you're going to do it right the first time.
My hero.
It's perfect. On the money.
Thank you, guys.
You like it?
Oh, do I ever?
I'm always saying, hire the right people for the right job. If it's a roofing job, hire a licensed contractor who specializes in roofs. They'll know what products to use and how to use them. This makes the difference between a roof that lasts 25 years and one that won't make it through the first big storm. Dave wanted a garage studio with a flat roof, but what he got was a flat-out disaster. Hiring the wrong guy was the beginning of 5 years of headaches and hassles. Dave, nice guy. Lived across the street, had a dream. I like that spot on the corner. Nice big backyard that we see here.
Walked into the backyard and thought, this is really cool if you could put a big garage behind the house, because every guy wants a big garage.
I would like to build a shop in the back for my photography. Look at the sign. That's what I call parking. The garage is built, reserved for me. It's a square box, 12-foot high ceilings. Dave says to the contractor, I thought we were going 18 feet.
His advice was, we have a permit to build a structure that's 12 feet. Let's go ahead and do that. When it's finished, we'll raise it to 18.
Mistake number one. How you doing, Dave? Nice to see you again.
You too. Jacked it up without having a foundation in here, so he's jacking it up on dirt, basically. Gets it up, starts building the work around. It's all wobbly, it's all shaky.
Ceiling caves in, falls down. Obviously, they've made a mistake in trying to go higher up in the ceiling.
Like he could have killed somebody.
From that point on, all hell breaks loose.
That was the first stop work order. That was the big one. That was the one that lasted the longest period of time. That's the one where you got to go to talk to committees of people that know nothing about anything and try and convince them about what you should or shouldn't be able to do.
5 years later, it's to this point here. Roof, how we doing? We leaking?
Yes, roof is leaking. Most obvious areas in the back.
Well, you have a gradual slope this way, but I can see all these areas here, these white spots were puddles. We're gonna see a leak right downstairs here.
When push comes to shove, you're like, well, I got all these problems. Like, yeah, the floor's not level and my walls are all out of square, and what are you gonna do about that?
All along, water sits there, there. Obviously still there. Here's where you're leaking, right?
Yep. Tiny leaks turned into big leaks, which turned into more problems, more water.
This is very thin roofing. That's very, very thin. It went from a $50,000 job, 50 grand for a garage. That's a lot of money. To 80,000. To imperfections, to leaks, to problems. Why add on and then slope the roof this way when the roof was designed to slope this way? And that looks like hell.
That was the first sort of sign of like, hey, what's going on with my roof?
All right. Well, I've seen enough of this. We have a lot of work to do. A flat roof can't be completely flat. It needs to slope and to allow for drainage. But this roof was dipping everywhere. Water was pooling, there were puddles all over the place. It was an open invitation for leaks. And if that wasn't bad enough, the installation of the roofing materials was totally wrong. We're gonna pull the roof and see what's been done, and we'll find out from there. It appears to be sloped well coming across this way, and then obviously we see it sitting in this area, and I'm sure the more water that comes up here, the more that sits. We got all kinds of puddles.
What we might do is start ripping just on the perimeter a little bit just to see what we're going to be up against.
I think we got an easy pull up here. This is the good part about guys doing things wrong. Oh, come on. Oh, look at this. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Looks like just 15-pound felt paper.
Torch down to tar paper. Tar paper is very flammable.
They could have burnt the place down.
Holy cow. All right, obviously this is going to be easy. 5 minutes. I'm pretty damn sure of it.
Yeah, we should save it as a rain tarp.
Yeah, really.
Look at this. And
answer.
This is the exact leak downstairs in the room where we saw the ceiling, right? So we see that this has been a water area that's been penetrated over and over again. We had no choice but to take up all the plywood. This should have been tongue and groove. This is why we're gonna see it go so bad. But because it's so wavy, it's because it's not breathing. It's trapping moisture within the roof itself. It's not breathing. So it's killing all the wood on top. And I can't believe he hasn't flooded way worse than he already has. The idea was to rip all the 2x8s down and create the slope, but nobody used the chalk line. 1 inch 3/8, 1 inch 7/8, all in one section. They just cut by height. So that's gonna make it go like this. I got a whole bunch of finger work there. Once we tore the roof off, I made sure there was proper airflow to prevent condensation and mold. Next step was to create a consistent slope to get the water draining in the right direction into the troughs. So we need a string, a chalk line, a skill saw, and extension cord, please. So we're gonna be from 0, or 9 1/4, to 5 1/2 up. So let's chalk line that from that point to the top corner. Okay, so rip this, and then I want you to use that as a template. The crown is always on that side when you put it down as a template.
Okay.
Okay, and then keep marking, keep cutting, keep going. Now we can drastically see that nice 4-inch drop from one side to the other. Nice and true, exactly how we want to see it. We're just getting ready for the roofers. We're going to sweep this off, get the safety rail back up again.
We don't want to get any heat or flame down to the wood deck. We put on this first, and it covers sort of fire blocks those seams on the protective board, so we don't have any chance of a fire. It's not 100% fireproof, but it does keep the heat and the flame away from directly being in contact with the wood.
Now this looks light, but let me tell you, at 15 pounds minimum a sheet, it's not light. This is a very smart product to use. It's a fireboard, so when they torch down their first membrane, nothing's gonna light on fire.
What we do is we offset the seams, about half a sheet, similar to plywood when you're sheeting a roof. That way it doesn't sort of telegraph through on the base roof. Just flattens out the surface a bit.
With the right roof and proper slope, Dave could finally relax. His studio was now safe and protected from all weather.
Oh, geez, look at this.
Not bad, eh?
Oh, it's great.
Well, for me, what do? We walk in, it starts with a roof. Wow. Obviously, started with your roof, pulled your complete roof, restructured the whole thing, then did down a triple layer effect. Actually, it was 4 with the protection board. Obviously, new east trough, downspout.
Yeah, it looks fabulous.
Not only does it look good, the longevity of this product is phenomenal.
It looks fabulous. I wouldn't even believe this was the same building. It looks great.
It does look different, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's like you put a brand new building here.
We damn near did. We damn near did. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And on this job, boy, was there smoke. Unfortunately, one of the easiest places for a contractor to hide his mistakes is right above your head. Well, if they'd done this, what else have they covered up? Welcome back to the best of Homes on Homes. Today, we're looking back at the roofing jobs that went bottom up. A lot of homeowners ask if it's okay to install new shingles right over the old ones. They think it can save them time and money, but I'm telling you it doesn't. It's like giving a car a paint job when it needs a tune-up. Franca and Daniela, they needed my help. They got burned twice. First, a fire damaged their home, then a contractor left them stranded.
You look and you see and you think, oh my God, like there was a fire here and it's all full of smoke and stuff. But I honestly didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was pretty contained. There's a lot of damage here.
My mother had been sick and she had been back home. And then shortly thereafter, she passed away. And I was saying that I just didn't have the time to arrange funerals and be on top of what they were doing here because there were a few things that did not go right.
2 months work? 2 months they've been in this house?
3.
3 months.
3 good months of work. They've put in 3 good months in here.
Well, let's be serious. What did they do?
Not very much.
Basically, they were cutting corners is bottom line.
Yeah,
like things that, you know, I think they thought that they could get away with.
Whatever work was done, and it wasn't much, that was bad. Plus, the family was out of the house for so long that new tenants moved in, raccoons. Between the damage caused by the raccoons and the sloppy work, I had to gut this house to make it right. While we were fixing what the contractor screwed up, we found a roof that needed immediate attention. This is gonna be really nice to see. So all the sheeting is nailed down with roofing nails and not spikes.
It would appear that way. Out of sight, out of mind. Like where the customer cannot see what was being done, they come up here, they leave the old vents in, they don't flash the chimneys properly, all right? Because they know the customer's not gonna come up here and check it out.
Okay, well, if they'd done this, what else have they covered up? We'll have to take it down and look at it. This is cute. Put up a new roof. This is minor compared to some of the stuff I saw over on the other side there. It's all rotten. I don't want to see this neither. There's nothing to tie into. You walk on that, fall through, fall off. This is why we have lines. There wasn't even tar paper coming up the side here. I want to see a minimum of weather and ice shield from the roof line to the end gable. They just taken the old crap wood. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, they should have been plywood, but they went right over top. Obviously, we have a rotted area here. This was the hump that we saw earlier, but it's all shingle nails holding it down. I'll bet you pull that up with no problem at all. And you shouldn't be able to pull that up by hand. That's ridiculous. Yeah, imagine the high winds getting underneath that. That's a good shim effect. Yeah, how many layers are there? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, it's not just a shim, they were shorting the plywood.
I see. So they faked the back, they faked the front. Pitiful. So we're gonna strip it, we're gonna sheet it with 1/2-inch plywood right over it. I guess at the same token, we'll pull up any rotten wood that's there, sheet that, and then go over top of that.
Yeah.
Did you see the little patches they did down there?
Yeah, exactly. You know, they've used a piece of chipboard, which is 7/16 in that area, a piece of 3/8 ply in this area. You can see the height, the elevation difference. And all of that, like the rest of this roof, it just telegraphs through the shingle, and it gives an uneven appearance, and it can actually cause a leak.
They should be ashamed of themselves just covering this up. They don't care. My God.
Unfortunately, we were really here just to fix some vents, repair a couple of flashings on the chimneys, that sort of thing. But, I mean, the flashings were completely done wrong. The chimneys were non-functional anyways, so we got rid of those. The roof boards were completely out of whack and original, so we've ended up having to rip the whole thing off and redo it from scratch. What we're putting in here is a layer of ice and water shield. When we took off this area of roofing here, we actually noticed a bit of moisture underneath some of the shingles. And what this ice and water membrane will do is will allow it to wick out on top of this roof as opposed to seeping down in behind it. This roof's going to be good for at least 25 years. It's going to keep anything from happening to the interior, all that brand new drywall, that brand new paint, that brand new kitchen, those brand new floors. And that's really what we need to do here.
By the time we gave the house back to Daniela and Franca, we had basically given them a whole new home from the outside in.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
Look at that.
Wow. This looks
Oh, the top.
amazing.
Well, 2 weeks ago, we looked at the roof. We went up to put a couple of vents in, realized that the roof was completely rotten and totally done wrong by whoever did it. We stripped the roof, resheeted it. We also took the shingles off that dormer,
Yeah,
put
I
up
like
siding.
that look. It's actually what I always wanted to do. I really like that look.
And now it's definitely safe. Not to mention all new fascia, eavesdrops, downspouts.
It's a huge weight off my shoulders. Huge weight off my shoulders, and I know that it's a huge weight off my mom's shoulders. So that makes me happy.
We gave up a lot when we moved here, so it means a lot to me to move back into my own home.
Even a new home can have a bad roof. And when the temperature went from hot to cold, Lee and Bailey found a winter wonderland in their attic.
There's problems on the floor, there's a problem on the wall. So I just looked up in the attic because it was in that room. And that's when we saw the snowbanks.
Welcome back to the best of Homes on Homes. Today we're looking at roofs gone wrong. What do you get when you have a new home with a bad roof. The same thing you get with an old home with a bad roof. Problems. When older homes need major repairs, I get it. But when a new home has serious issues, to me, there's no excuse. We have the technology, we have the products. Lee and Bailey bought new, thinking they were avoiding all the repairs that come with older homes. Man, were they surprised.
We moved here about 2 years ago. It's our second year here. What attracted us to this house was that it was a brand new home.
But right from day one, snow in the attic. Leaks, signs of problems, moisture coming in the house. Carpet's wet, one after the other.
In the wintertime, basically we got the surprise. We woke up one morning and when I got up in the bedroom, it was basically like wet, soggy grass.
They bring in the site superintendent in the area that's probably still working here while the houses are being complete. He brings them over a ladder, tells them to go up on the roof and shovel off the roof.
The back side of the house, it was just a sheet of ice all the way down, and that's where he wanted me to go down. And the front side was ice and snow built up. It's like 30 feet to go down to the end. So he wanted me to go down that ice, and it's like this steep. And that's what he suggested. And he was dead serious, and he actually went to go get me the ladder so I could do it. So then I said, you know what, hold on. This isn't right.
Bailey?
Yeah.
And Lee.
Hey, Mike.
Pleasure to meet you both.
We called them like 30 times and they never even answered the phone. And then when we finally did get a hold of them, they basically just laughed at us and says, well, it's your own home maintenance to shovel all the snow off your roof.
We paid 2 different roofers to come, and we also paid the private inspector to come out. And the roofer that came out the second time to put those vents on fixed that. But he was actually laughing, and he actually said, do you have a camera I can have to go up here? And he took a bunch of pictures for me, which I have inside to show you.
Okay, 3-bedroom, 1, 2, 3.
So 3 bedrooms, 3 problems. Anywhere you want to start.
3 problems.
Yeah. Problems on the floor, there's a problem on the wall. So I just looked up in the attic because it was in that room. And that's when we saw the snowbanks in our attic. This is after we saw the water damage, which means it's already melted quite a bit. So it was higher than that. And this is what you're gonna find on the roof.
Has this been fixed at all?
No.
Their roof had major problems. And since I don't do patch jobs, not that any patch job could ever fix this, I knew what I had to do, replace the whole thing. Now that's step flashing because we're about 4 feet from the bottom.
Right.
Is that supposed to be all the way up?
Yes.
We must use step flashing and then a cap flashing.
Yep. Counter flashing.
Okay, and obviously it stops right there.
Yeah. What we'd like to see is ice and water.
Wrap it up?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there's no caulking on the neighbors. There's no caulking on none of them.
You won't find caulking anywhere.
There's a death trap I noticed on the other side here. That piece of wood?
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
That's scary. That doesn't make me feel good. Just be careful walking around this roof. Rob called this one a death trap, the one that you could simply fall through. And I guess, in a way, they made sure that the one beside it here on this side was even worse. You know, to have the superintendent tell the guy to get up on the roof and shovel the snow off, can you imagine had he have fallen through here? That would not be good.
They just scabbed these onto the sides. So
That's even worse.
even worse.
That's a long way down, boy. Someone's gonna get hurt. That's unacceptable because they made it unsafe for anyone who comes up here, including the homeowner. Homeowners, stay off your roof. This is what we want to do. We want to make sure that we put the water and ice shield in the valley with our metal, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like this is going to act on its own, never mind anything else. The more we concentrate on protecting the areas that are vulnerable, which are the valleys, the vents, any edge protrusions where the flashing is. How about the vents?
These vents, this is where the homeowners had the issues of the snow blowing in. And my real concern is, because it's a shared attic space, I have a feeling these were acting as an intake vent. which is why the builder had come back and put on, quote unquote, winter vents.
If we put on a better vent and not a winter vent, because I don't think there's any such thing, if we put on the best vent, it doesn't do that, does it?
Well, actually, what I'm thinking is to close these vents and vent this area through the main ridge, which is much higher elevation, and we'll do a ridge vent in that location.
Okay. So are we going to be getting to the steel roof today, do you think?
Absolutely.
A metal roof is more expensive, but it's worth every penny. Why? Because it will last. It's durable and more environmentally friendly than oil-based asphalt shingles. Not only does it look good, but it performs. This roof is going to help keep their home warm, dry, and fire-resistant. Lee and Bailey bought the house because it was new. They didn't want maintenance issues. They didn't want problems. They're terrified about buying an older house that someone has renovated and something's wrong with it.
It's the worrying of, what am I going to come home to when I come home from work today? Like, are we going to have water damage? Are we going to have whatever? I noticed on the weekend when I was looking at it that we don't have vents like everybody else does. So I was hoping you didn't forget, but I had a feeling there's more to the story.
They're all gone now. You can see we have a proper vent there, right there, and that's for your bathroom. So that's not properly exhausted, not into a roof vent, but into a breathable, proper vent. We've given you from one side of the other to the other side of the house, and you really can't see it from here. It is a breathable ridge vent. Allows the fresh air to come in from the bottom, your soffit, the lowest point, pulling it all the way up to the highest point where hot air rises and allowing it to escape. You cannot get better than this.
It's great just to have our house back to how it should have been when we bought it. I mean, it's been so many problems since we bought the house for 2 years, and it's nice just to have, the structure of the house in working order now.
This is something I would put on my own roof. I'm not going to go to the extreme for just to do it, okay?
Sure.
The reason I'm choosing this is because it's the best. It's the best installation. It's the best products, best underlayment. And if we want to do it, if it was my house, this is how I would do it. The roof saves everything on the inside. It stops mold if no water gets in. It stops huge insurance rates from water damage. Logical. Start thinking from the outside in and not the inside out. That's why we did it. It's an important issue. Thank you so much. And all right.
Throw me some man love.
Yeah. Just a little bit.
Mike, nice.
Nothing serious. When you sit on a rooftop deck, you usually don't think about the roof that's holding you up. Wow, that is rotten. It is just completely falling apart. But when you're 30 feet off the ground, it might be a good time to start paying attention. Welcome back to the best of Homes on Homes. Today we're highlighting some of the worst roofing jobs I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot. When you spot a stain on your ceiling, it's not just a nuisance, it's a sign of a bigger problem. And for 7 years, that problem had been growing for Jane and Dan, and it was all under their second floor deck. Nice neighborhood.
Before we took possession of the house, on a walkthrough, I noticed that there was water staining on the ceiling below the flat roof and deck.
They jumped on it, they called up the builder. I like to see them step up to the plate and come in and take a look at the issues.
Hey, Mike.
Dan,
See you again.
Pleasure to see you again.
Come on in, nice to
They
meet you.
noticed that the water was sitting on the flat roof area and puddling big time.
They, of course, said, yeah, we'll fix it. And they apparently, we thought they had.
They waited for it to dry off. They did a temporary Band-Aid fix that I talk about all the time. Will never solve the problem.
What they had done was put a small patch over the membrane where they felt the leak was coming from.
Our problem is way up on the third floor.
At that point, we hired a roofing company to come in and replace the flat roof because I assumed that, okay, we've got a leak in the flat roof. We're gonna have to get it replaced.
The roofer started work, but after seeing the extent of the damage, I guess they realized it was more than just a roof job.
This is, well, you can see the lean-to structure out here that the roofing company left for us.
They got to a point and they said, no, we can't do anything with this. Now you need to go further and find somebody to fix it.
Wow, that is rotten. They strip it all up. They find the sheeting completely rotten. They start pulling up the sheeting. We have a huge red flag.
What we found was that the water had transferred into the top plate of the engineered joists, and those joists, 6 of them, I believe, are completely rotted away.
This is a great example of what happens to structure when a roof isn't done right. And any water that gets in will completely rot the wood.
What would cause all the, it's like sawdust almost, what just...
What you're seeing is this wood.
Because it couldn't breathe
Look
with
at
yeah.
It is just completely falling apart. Imagine this soaking for approximately 7 years, no ventilation, no air within that floor joist. It's gonna hold the moisture and turn it into almost a steam bath, or we'll call it a moisture bath. Whenever it comes to a flat roof, it is required by code to have a minimum slope. That 8-foot run should have about a 3/4 inch to a 1 inch high end going out to the scupper. The scupper is the drain. What happens when it runs into the house? That means it's gonna hold the water until the sun or the air dissipates the water. What if it rains for 4 days? Where does that water go? It's gotta build up to run out.
The roofing company basically, once they got to that point, once they saw that damage, basically washed their hands of it. They're roofers, they're not carpenters, contractors, they're roofing contractors.
I was surprised no one had fallen right through that floor. It was literally falling apart right underneath their feet. The extent of the water damage was so bad, fixing it meant replacing the entire structure. We started by taking the ceiling down in the room below the deck. Guys, I'm just going to push down in the center here so we try and cup all the plastic, okay? Okay. You ready? You know what? From this point here, this freaking thing runs in towards the house. Thank you, sir. Oh my God. That is so running into the house.
Drastically.
Here's the top of the floor here. I'm not even close to it. It should be running out, not in the house. Look at this.
That's crazy. Are you level there? That's 2.5 inches.
2.5 inches. 2.5 inches in towards the house. How do they do that? I would accept level. I do not accept a 2-inch run into the house. No wonder. Lose it all because we're going to be going new. Once everything's down, let the dust settle, get it out of the house. Once we took out what was left of the beams, we could start building a whole new structure. We could take them ourselves, but you know.
Big man.
Nice.
Big man.
Okay. With the slope of the roof going towards the house, it was no surprise we had rot mold in the exterior walls. So we had to replace those too. This is a 2x4 underneath the door. Like that's gonna hold anything, right? I don't think so. We still have a nice slope there. So everything has to be done with the 8-foot level. That way we can shim it properly. A little bit time consuming, but it's what we do. We're actually 2 inches high on this end, down to 0 on this end. So we've created that 2-inch slope on an 8-foot span out.
First, we're gonna lay out the fiberglass paper. That is a fire retardant material. It gets nailed down. And what that material does is allows us to torch apply our rolled material to it. But because it is seamed, there's butt edges, there's a chance of heat or flame getting down between. That's why we use the glass-based paper first.
So just on the deck, or would you go right out with it?
Just on the deck and up the walls where we're gonna be torching against the walls.
With the roof in place and the scuppers done, all that was left was the finishes. We went above and beyond to make this special for Jane and Dan, and in the end, it really paid off. This deck was strong, it looked great, and I'll tell you, it was safe. I like it.
Oh my.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love the glass.
It's beautiful, yeah.
So
You
you
actually
gotta-
have a real deck.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
This is a floating deck. It is on
Yes.
top of a foam base to protect the roof.
Right.
This is in 3 sections. So if you've ever got to get under it, you drop anything.
Right.
We want to have a wider gap here for the snow. It's not the easiest thing to do, but it's not rocket science neither. It takes a skilled professional to come in, oversee it, and go home. We had to re-angle the whole slope of the roof. So we had brought it up 3 inches to give a 1/4 inch per foot drop. What is necessary is protecting your investment. Are you happy?
Very happy.
Can't tell you how happy.
Very happy.
Maybe now they'll use the deck and get to enjoy what they should have had 7 years ago.
It's great.
I'm really
Thank
sorry.
you.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Hey, it's a hot day and you worked hard.
It is. I'm
so
wearing my tent. I'm gonna have to take this tent off and go have a shower, but
Right.
enjoy.
We will.
A roof built with 5-star materials but installed with 1-star skills is still just a 1-star roof. Yvonne and Tadashi's contractor knew what to do. He just didn't know how to do it.
The shingles and the underlayment is lifted up, which was an ideal place for birds to make nests and wasps to try and create nests.
Welcome back to the best of Homes on Homes. Today we're ripping the lid off of bad roofing jobs. The roof is a home's first line of defense against all elements. If we have a problem with the roof, we have a problem with the home. Yvonne and Tadashi wanted to build an addition. They would have paid for the best, but they were in a hurry and they hired the first person available. And boy, did they pay for it. Out here in Canmore, where we are right now, the mountains, look at this. There is a boom happening that is unbelievable. There's not enough housing, there's not enough contractors, not enough skilled trades, period, out here.
All the contractors who came and gave us quotes were really nice guys, but they were busy. It's a building boom in town, and this fellow, even though he was busy, he had time. And so we signed the papers and we handed over a substantial amount of money, and the journey had begun.
And what a journey. It was a rocky road. The contractor was quick to start, but he never finished. Things slowed down, and he would disappear for weeks. The only thing he left behind was poor workmanship and a really bad reputation. There was no fixing that roof. The only hope was getting rid of it.
We have architectural controls in our little subdivision. The roofs have to match, the same height. So we showed him, and we're very insistent that the roofs match. And I'm coming along the road, and I'm thinking to myself, I can see something poking over the top of the roof. What is that? And as I'm getting closer, I realize it's the roof trusses of the addition are sticking up above my existing roof. And his response was really interesting. It took me back, and I didn't know what to say to it. He was like, "Oh, don't worry, Yvonne. It's your house is just weird." And I was thinking, my house is weird? So he came in a panic, saying that it was going to cost him at least $10,000 or more to fix it. And he didn't want to fix it. What could we do? Couldn't we compromise? So if we accepted that he didn't have to remove all the trusses and rebuild the roof, he would redo the shingles of the whole roof. And he would then, since he was touching the gutters, change the gutters. And we said he'd have to get it approved by the Architectural Control Committee. And if the Architectural Control Committee approved it, and he got a letter saying that they approved it, then we would compromise.
They had some ice and water shield on here, but there were spots that were missing, and it just wasn't a real good job, that's for sure.
It's probably the only thing that saved it from actually leaking into the house.
Absolutely. They had one of the valleys here, had nails right in the center of the valley. They had some flashing with no plywood underneath, so there's a big hole under there. So, it was a leak waiting to happen. The rain lines were crooked. There was just a lot of things wrong with his roof.
Hindsight is always great. With my hindsight, I wouldn't have budged 1 inch.
So we're going to do all new east trough and downspout?
Absolutely. All new east trough and downspout. Putting Harmony shingles on here, 35-year fiberglass shingles.
Awesome.
All drip edge.
Awesome.
Replacing all the flashings, which should have been done in the first place. It's going to look fantastic.
Look at the view. Yeah, just put me in a helicopter, put me on top, give me a few days. If I don't come back, call the bears, because they probably ate me. You can definitely see the difference when you've got the pros on the job. The roofers are up there. Jason, he tells me everything he saw on the roof, he's totally surprised it has not leaked yet.
Looking back on it, there were so many times we should have stopped.
Now that it's raining, it's probably a good thing that I brought in my roofers and put up a hole in the roof because I remember him talking that I can't believe it didn't leak. But they were good enough to put up a 35-year shingle, all brand new east troughs and downspouts. We just made it. I leave tomorrow. I'm very happy. The rain, we got really lucky. It just seems that I took you outside of the house when it was pouring and it stopped. So someone's on our side, and I don't know who that is, but I hope you're happy.
I am very happy. In Japanese, we'll say
Domo arigato gozaimasu. Thank you, Mike.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you very,
Absolutely.
very much.
Well, at least now I can go home and help someone else. This is how I get paid. Building a roof takes 3 things: good materials, skilled crew, and really good weather. Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Welcome back to the best of Homes on Homes. We'll be taking a look back at hair-raising roofs and their issues. One of these issues is attic space. Your basic pitch roof gives you some space underneath it. I don't know why, but people think all that extra space can easily be converted into a living space. It can't. Joe and Julie were adding to their family. They wanted another room in their attic, so they brought in a contractor who said it was a simple job, wouldn't need any permits. No permits, no problem. The news seemed too good to be true. That's because it was.
Hello.
Julie, nice to see you again. Joe?
Nice to see you.
How you doing?
Pretty good. How are you? Glad you're here. This is Noah. We adopted a child last year and wanted to adopt a second child. So we thought, do we do the addition in the attic or do we not? And because of the layout of the house, it was actually, we thought it was doable. We just wanted to look nice. Our expectations, even with the contractor, weren't that we just wanted a room, a nice, structurally sound room, something that's not going to be to danger of anybody or fear of falling or, you know, that's going to ruin our house.
We want it done right.
Yeah.
Gives him a quote in the area of $25,000 to put a room inside an attic. The idea would be that he structures everything on the inside, really just so that the floor joists are in, picks up the weight load of the roof, and creates a small room.
Do we have permits?
No.
If you think you need permits, pick up the phone and call the government. Hey, we're thinking about putting our room in our attic. Do we need a permit? What you're going to hear the government say is, you cannot put a room in your attic. You must put on a second floor addition.
And this is the access so I can get in the attic?
We actually had to cut that because they never made...
You cut this?
I cut the hole so I can get in there because they never left me
an access wall. Many times I asked them about the actual structure of the roof. There was trusses going all across inside, and they cut every single one of those out.
We had 7 or 8 different workers in here. Nobody knew what they were doing.
I'll tell you, this is...
Anytime we see visual, a few things wrong with it. We know there's a lot more wrong. It's hidden inside. The reason you cannot put a room inside an attic is because that attic was designed to be a breathable area, right? It's a cold zone. It's made out of 2x4 trusses. You can't beef it up. You can't do anything with it. You have to restructure the floor to allow continuous weight load upwards.
First things first, we're gonna have to bring in an architect and an engineer. I'm gonna have to go through this to determine what he's done. Based on what I've just seen here, there's enough here to tell me this is wrong.
There were HVAC issues, electrical and structural issues. It was a complete hazard, unacceptable. Everything had to go. If they wanted an extra room, it needed to be a second-story addition with permits.
Clear?
Clear?
Clear below.
Oh, look at the span. Oh, my God. Once we opened it up, it was obvious the structure was all wrong. None of it even passed code, so we tore it down. After we got our engineered drawings and our permits, we were ready to build. Are we ready? Let's go. Pass it to Mike. Screw it in. It was weeks before we could finally start rebuilding the roof. It seemed like our plans weren't on Mother Nature's schedule. What I'm trying to do is to build the wall and the floor and stand it up. We've got nothing but straight lumber. Awesome. Do I have a lot of room to do it? No. When we finally got a break in the weather, we pulled the tarp and we got to work.
Normally, we have a standard 1x8, 1x6, or trusses, and we'll tie into it. But because this is now a ridge beam, we're gonna have a cathedral ceiling. We're gonna have to ride over it. All right, that's gonna be cut out. That's what we call a bird's mouth. What do you got?
Got about a 1/2 inch small.
Perfect, continue. Today, we have a cathedral ceiling. That bird's mouth is gonna just come right over the outside wall on top plate, right over the outside wall, comes up to the rafter, and that locks in the outside wall. That wall cannot push out once tied into this ridge beam. Now we're gonna use these to come up on the beam, just like that. Okay? And we're gonna use the proper nails. We're gonna nail it into the beam, we're gonna nail it into the rafter, and that'll hold everything tight.
Okay.
That's perfect. Carl?
Yes, sir.
There you go. Come on up. I wanted to make sure the new roof and structure would last. I went with a metal roof for its durability and its weather resistance.
The weather's sort of iffy up in the air, so we're gonna start with one section, rip it off, get some underlayment down.
Yeah.
Make sure it's watertight, and then start the application of the new product. It's a Galvalume steel roof.
What does that mean, galvanized aluminum?
It's Galvalume is zinc and aluminum coated, as opposed to galvanized. It's a little bit more industrial, stronger coating. Very corrosion resistant, even if it's scratched or damaged.
Right. So what do you have to do? Do you have to give it breathing room underneath? You strap it?
Well, because of the profile itself, it's a little slightly elevated, so it does allow some airspace.
Yeah.
There is some strapping required, but not on the complete roof.
Right.
Just in particular areas like the eave perimeter.
Right.
On the hips of the roof as well.
Right. Yeah.
In the U.S., in the southern markets, they do nail this product.
Yeah.
But in our climate, because of the drastic freeze and thaw cycles that we get, it's always screwed.
So what about wind? Like, what can this take in terms of gusts?
It's warranted up to 120 mile an hour wind,
right?
Which is equivalent to, I believe, a Class 3 hurricane.
Oh my God!
So pretty much impossible to rip this roof off.
Right.
Joe and Julie paid a lot of money for a space that was illegal, unsafe, and unfinished. What are the lessons here? Do your homework, slow down, give yourself enough time to find the right person for the job, get references and check them out, and get the proper permits, please. Come on in. You got a tan.
You did I?
I'm jealous.
I'm a little bit darker.
Yeah, you are a little bit darker. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Welcome back to your home.
Oh, thank you.
If I was just to come in and put in a proper bedroom addition on the house, it would have been a lot easier than what I had to do because of the contractor. $25,000, he says. We'll put a room in your attic. Not a problem. No windows, no heat. Tamper with the electrical and tamper with the structure. Your beautiful roof outside, Rob, is that something?
Oh.
When I drove up, I couldn't stop staring at the roof, and it looks amazing.
He did so much more than we anticipated.
Looks like we bought a brand new house.
It looks like we're walking into a brand new house. It's absolutely gorgeous.
And this room is nothing
yeah.
compared to what it was before, not even close.
A roof seems like a simple job, but even the most simple roof is more complex than it looks. It's part of a bigger system that protects the home. If the roof fails, the whole system fails. If you're gonna hire somebody to work on your roof, make sure they know how and what they're doing. Is it worth the time? Is it worth the money? Absolutely. Believe me, you want a house with a good roof on its shoulders. Pinky. Good job.
Thank you.
I don't know if he remembers me, does he?
Oh,
it's a party.
Remember your uncle?
Uncle David?
Adam. Yeah. Carlito. Good job, man. Give me 5. Nice.
He did a fantastic job. You can't.
For more information about this show, please visit hgtv.ca.